This is an iPhone 14 Pro Max, an iPhone mini, and this is the smallest smartphone in the world. Is it even usable? Wow, look at this thing. Everyone's complaining about phones getting bigger. Well, you can actually find and use one that's about as small as a lighter. It is a bit thicker than usual, of course, in order to fit all the usual smartphone tech inside, including a reasonable battery. So I went out on an online adventure to find the smallest smartphone in the world, and this is it. It comes by many names, but it's always the same device. In our case, it's the Soyes S7. So yes, let's check it out. Is it even usable? Boy, you sure don't look ridiculous holding what seems to be a McDonald's Happy Meal toy next to your ear during a call. Let's watch a YouTube video on a 2.5-inch screen. Reminds me of when I hacked my Apple Watch in order to play YouTube videos on it. It's something you try once and never again. As you can also guess from how the app icons look, it's running Android 6, which is 8 years old. And yet, despite its questionable origins and old software and hardware, this phone is surprisingly usable and not like super laggy. Yeah, the screen is tiny and has backlight bleeding like all heck, but the bezels aren't bad, and you can not only read all the on-screen text clearly, but even kind of write a message or two. Now yeah, my thumb hits like 6 buttons at once, but the autocorrect helps change a messy message into something someone might actually be able to read. Speaking of reading, let's read a PhoneArena article on this mighty beast. Opening the web browser it came with, it asks for a ton of permissions like access to your contacts, phone calls, location, microphone, which is always a great sign when it's coming from a Chinese phone of unknown origins. So I ain't gonna give it any permissions and download Chrome instead. And here we are on our beautiful website. Let's make a sad attempt at searching for the Galaxy Z Fold 4. And yeah, you can kind of read articles on this tiny smartphone if you just love squinting and waiting for pages to load slowly. But hey, again, this is clearly an old device, and as someone who owns other old phones and a couple of iPads, they all show their age this way. Lag is understandable. But me not being able to press the navigation keys or swipe down to the notification shade isn't. It's actually infuriating. I don't know if the phone just ignores touches near the edges of the screen, but this is agony. Good luck exiting Chrome once you've opened it. Hey, but on the plus side, the more I use this little beast, the more I appreciate how nice it feels in the hand. Yeah, it's all plastic and it's pretty light, but not all plastics are equal. And this matte plastic on the sides and back feels good. And I love that fake camera on the back, by the way. Like anyone's gonna look at this and think, oh yeah, this is clearly real. A second camera. Speaking of the back, would you believe it got a little warm from just trying to open a website? That's a good sign, right? But back to how this phone looks, I gotta be honest, this iPhone 7 copycat design is beautiful, especially in white like we have it here. And because it's so light and made out of plastic, I'm pretty sure it can survive a few drops here and there. If it was glass and heavier, it would have cracked, but this little guy is just fine. So I'm honestly liking this little novelty phone, and everyone I showed it to found it cute and wanted to try it out. Now the question is, can the world's tiniest smartphone actually be useful to you? Well, if you don't mind the small screen and occasionally laggy performance, this can be a reasonable secondary phone. The battery life is holding up pretty well so far, so it's a good backup phone too, in case your main one dies on you during a long weekend trip or something. This one seems to last about a day and a half between charges, which isn't too bad considering how small the battery is, only about 600 mAh. For reference, that's only twice what the Apple Watch has, which for a phone is obviously not a lot, but yeah, it holds up. Now just for fun, let's do a little speed test of this phone against my aging iPhone 12 mini here. Let's open the YouTube app. Yeah, as you can see, there's quite a bit of a difference here, but then again, this is hardly a fair comparison. Let's try something else. I'm gonna write you a text message on both phones. Now the iPhone 12 mini is already small enough for texting to be infuriating. And I often press 2 keys at the same time because the keyboard is tiny. But how does that compare to an even smaller phone? Well, like that. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, surely this is a mobile gaming beast. Well, you're in luck, let's download Asphalt and yeah, never mind. Well, even if we could run Asphalt on this, we wouldn't be able to fit the game because this phone only has 8 GB of storage. Not RAM, that's one. 8 GB of storage. Let's try a smaller, simpler game, like good old Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Originally a 1992 game, surely it will work. Well, would you believe playing a game with on-screen controls is hell on this? I'm just as shocked as you are, but hey, it does run kind of. As someone who owns several retro handhelds, some of which are pretty small, this is a really novel way to play some old school games. By the way, I almost forgot, we haven't tried the camera yet. Let's take a selfie on this mighty beast. You know what, pictures taken with this phone don't look half bad, at least if you look at them on this tiny display, they seem pretty decent for an old phone. Hello world, coming to you live from the world's smallest smartphone. So yeah, the world's smallest smartphone. Should you go ahead and immediately buy 10 of those because it's so cool and cute and kind of works despite its age? Well, not really, at least not if you actually plan on using it for anything serious. It's a really cool novelty, but I wouldn't count on it to stay reliable over time. And it's actually kind of laggy, only gonna get worse as time goes on. But I can't deny the charm this little thing has. Makes me sad that Apple discontinued the iPhone mini line because those were pretty much the last small flagship phones we had. If someone were to make a modern version of this, with faster and newer hardware, I'd definitely buy it and try to use it. In all honesty, the iPhone mini is pretty inconvenient to use, and I totally get why it's no longer being made, and why this no-name Chinese mini phone didn't get a newer version either. People want big phones as we do everything on our phones nowadays, including watching movies, video calling friends and family, reading articles, studying, and even banking. And yeah, a 2.5-inch screen just doesn't cut it for any of those tasks. But yeah, can't argue with those miniaturized iPhone 7 aesthetics. In any case, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if you want them to make a newer phone like this, or quite the opposite, you feel like using something as small as this smartphone would be a nightmare. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't for more interesting tech, and I'll see you next time.